So, I want to make this video about using your ego as a spiritual person, psychedelic person, spiritual teacher, or if you're a spiritual student, spiritual, psychedelic, whatever. Because in the psychedelic community, there's this thing that is called, ego death. And people mistake ego death because of the name. But an ego death is when you have a, a psychedelic experience and it's strong enough, it basically gives you an ego death. And like a lot of times during an ego death, you think you're dying. Like your ego, your self that is attached to your human body, the thing that like we think we're human. So when the part of us that is human begins to fade away, we think we're dying. Get familiar with the psychedelics, get familiar with that thing, and you realize that it's not a death. It's an ego check where it's like, it puts your ego in check. So I use my ego all the time. I use my ego to make these videos. Like, I use my ego to even think that, who the fuck am I to think, oh, it's just because I've tripped, a lot and I know all the psychedelic knowledge. Who the fuck am I to think that I have the right to speak about it, right? Who the fuck am I to say, that requires ego, right? It requires ego for me to make music. Like, I'm literally working on putting Mark Dreams into the fucking metaverse. I'm literally working on so many different projects right now, and it's all required ego, right? When I started using psychedelics, why did I travel with it so damn much? Why the fuck was I trying to figure out what happens when I die? Why was I trying to figure out all this shit? Ego. And let's clarify this. Ego is not, yo, bro, I'm the shit and I'm better than everybody else. Now fuck them, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. No, that is ego, yes. But ego is also the thing that said, I think I have some knowledge on this ego thing and spirituality. I might as well make a video about it, right? Because I was getting ready to join into my homie's live stream, True Life Stories, but I had to make this video real quick because this video came to me as I was like walking, getting ready to fucking do the live stream. I was like, fuck, I got hit with this idea of like, who the fuck do we think we are? You take psychedelics and then we upload what we think about psychedelics and whatever. And it's this thing that's required ego. Like, as I talk about how I've gained a relationship with the psychedelics, who gained a relationship with the psychedelics? My ego. Like, me. I'm working on my album. I'm working on, an NFT project. I'm working on all these different things, and it's all me. Which is ego, right? It's ego to think about yourself. It's ego to want to wake up. If you want to become a better man, you want to become a better woman, you want more things, right? That requires ego. You think that you get rid of your ego because what? You become a spiritual teacher and a spiritual person, and you're like, no, fuck that, I'm going to go meditate on the top of a mountain. It required ego because did you tell someone about it? Because if you told someone about it, you wanted recognition. You wanted somebody to see that you are meditating on top of the mountain. If there was no ego involved, no one would even know that you went to meditate on a mountain because you wouldn't have told anybody. Ego is required for everything. Stop allowing the spiritual community, psychedelic community, whatever the fuck, don't let them lie to you, right? They got an ego too. They got an ego because they think they're a spiritual teacher and they think that means something. Just like somebody with a college degree, they think that means something. It's the ego. And we need to separate good and bad from the ego. Consciousness is not good and ego is not bad. They are both. It is all one thing. Yeah, your ego is more attached to your human body. Like, if you remove the consciousness, your monkey body has its own wants, desires, and needs, and all this other shit. It's like there's two things inside of you, ego and consciousness. Actually, it's more like there's three things inside of you, ego, consciousness, and you. And like, you are the observer of both. So don't be controlled by your ego and don't be controlled by your consciousness either. Controlled by your conscience, like, where you're going to be like, I'm just going to go, peacefully meditate, and you're like, no, and because this is my problem, right? My problem is it wasn't the ego. It was when I tried killing my ego, I became too complacent or too comfortable with nothing. Like, I can go be a homeless man on the street. I can, like, I understand, like, I've done all these things in my life that now I'm like, oh, fuck. I let go of my ego too much, right? I was like, fuck, I didn't need anything. I was so free. I was so, like, let go of reality and unattached of all of my attachments or whatever. So I started detaching from my attachments in the physical world. And what began to happen is I started, in a sense, already transcending. And what I mean is, like, I stopped wanting. I didn't need to eat. I didn't need a house. I don't need clothes. I didn't need this. I didn't need that. Like, and generally didn't need it. Like, my happiness, my mind was, like, is based off of me, not the things I have. I went too far down the spiritual path to the point where I stopped wanting things. There was a point where I stopped making myself look presentable, in a sense. I stopped taking care of my face. I stopped taking care of myself. I still worked out here and there, but not like I do now. It's because you stop wanting things. You know, I'm broke right now, right? And I'm just finally starting to, like, financially get something, right? Just something, because I've been so broke on this whole spiritual journey because I looked at these spiritual teachers like they were fake if they were making money. I looked at them like, bro, you ain't no fucking spiritual person because you don't even understand what it's like to have nothing. Like, spiritual, like, to be a spirit has no attachments in the physical world. That is why Buddha left, his family to find enlightenment. That is why I, sacrificed having a family or sacrificed certain things just so I can find my enlightenment. But I don't like calling it enlightenment. My journey. This is my journey. The journey led me to my version of enlightenment, but my version of enlightenment will not be your version of enlightenment. Because my version of enlightenment, I became too in it to the point where I didn't need anything. Like, I could have died, and I would have been like, like, I don't fucking know, bro. I became so into it, gaining a relationship with the DMT entities, and so into gaining a relationship with the female entity in DMT space, and learning how to sing objects into creation in DMT space, but then something happened where I realized I need my ego to do that in this world. Like, that is why the ego exists. Because your soul, your spirit, is a creator. It manifests, your thoughts manifest in the reality because you are part of the creator. Like, so, but it required my ego to be able to want again. Like, I started taking kratom again, right? I stopped taking kratom for like 2 years or whatever. But I started taking kratom again, and I'm addicted to kratom, right? I'm physically addicted to kratom. So if I stop taking kratom right now, in 5 hours or so, I'm going to start feeling the physical body withdrawal. I like that because I feel like I am too fucking something to the point where I'm about to float the fuck away. So, like, I need an addiction. I need some of these vices. I smoke weed every day, and I'm not really that attached to the weed, really, but like I am to the kratom, but I don't know, I drink coffee every day. I'm addicted to coffee. I'm addicted to kratom. I don't know, I masturbate. Like, I don't do the no fapping thing. Like, and I know too much information, but I'm just saying all this because I started empowering my own ego again, right? During the beginning of my psychedelic journey, I let go of the ego, or attempted to. All that did was make me weak, make people step over me, make me not say what was on my mind. And then when I finally said fuck that and became me again, right, and started saying what was on my mind, speaking my truth or whatever the fuck, people thought I done changed up on them. Because, like, people thought I was being rude, or people thought I was, whatever, or so much for you being spiritual, man, or whatever the fuck they thought, because in the beginning of the journey, right, I was trying to get rid of the ego. I was trying to become peace, like, I love you guys, and much love, and I wanted to talk like this in every single video. I wanted everyone to see how peace, and I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. That's not who the fuck I am, right? I'm somebody that, like, if I say something, I'm gonna fucking say it. Like, if I have something on my mind, I'm gonna fucking say it. If I want to express myself with some fucking energy, I'm gonna express myself with some fucking energy, right? If I want to say fucking and shit and, like, I'm going to. Because that's who I actually am, right? I am who I am. And yes, like, some people might consider me a spiritual teacher. Some people might consider me a psychedelic spiritual leader. But that's only because, in my head, that's where I was going towards. Like, my ego, like, did psychedelics and was scared shitless. But then, my ego found a way to turn that into something that it can enjoy. That, like, I don't really care about the labels or being called a spiritual teacher or a spiritual this or that, right? This is just who I am. But my ego does, right? Why do I make music for other people to hear? Because my ego wants other people to hear it. Because honestly, like, my consciousness, I listen to my music all day long. Like, all day long. I make my music, I listen to my music, I jam out to my music, I trip to my music, I smoke to my music, I sometimes go to sleep to my music, like... But my ego wants other people to do that to my music, right? Why do I make videos? Because my ego thinks that it knows something that might be able to help someone else know something. But there is nothing wrong with having ego. We have been lied to, and it's not intentionally. We've been misinformed unintentionally because we are waking up. And as the planet is waking up, we are figuring out life. We're figuring out life, dimensions, death, reality, psychedelics, technology, and all this other shit, right? And as we're figuring all this out, we're getting confused because, it's the same thing that's happening with, that happened with Black Lives Matter, the same thing that happened with the LGBTQ community, like, and nothing against anybody. It's just, I don't know. It's just this thing that our society has gotten weak-minded. Like, if somebody calls, I don't know, so the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And yeah, Black Lives Matter, but at the same time, Black lives have always mattered. And at the same time, it's this thing where our ego, right, is a little too out of hand, right? We want this, and you better respect us, and this, and this, this, and yeah, that's true. But, like, don't get our egos all up in a bunch, right? Just like, if somebody calls you a name, somebody says, oh, you're this. Look at the way you look, bro. Ha ha ha. We need to gain some tough skin about this shit. We need our ego back. Because without the fucking ego, somebody calls you a name and you shatter over words. Words don't need to mean anything. They don't mean anything unless you put meaning to them. So, like, somebody can call me a name all they want. It's up to me whether I even heard them or not. Like, you can say English words to somebody in front of their face, but that don't mean they actually heard you. So, like, I don't hear the negativity. I don't hear any of that, right? Because my ego is like, you don't know who the fuck I am. Like, you don't know me. Just because you think you know me because you've watched a couple videos, or just because you think you know me because you've this or that, or whatever. Like, people talk shit all the time, and, like, it's my own ego that's probably bigger than theirs. That's why they can't fuck with me. Like, as things progress with my YouTube and all this shit that I'm working on social media, right, people are going to hate. But, I had a hater the other day, right? Somebody talked, just a troll, talking shit about my music, saying, something about you shouldn't make music or whatever. I came back at them just playing, right? I'm just having fun because I figured if you're going to be a troll, I'll troll on you too, right? And I'm just having fun. But the troll that commented on me talking shit couldn't handle what I said and then got sad about it. Like, and then I felt bad. I felt like the fucking asshole at that point because I was like, damn. Well, you shouldn't have fucking commented some shit like that. If you can't handle what you're giving to people, don't give it to people. And I don't know. I'm glad that I've empowered my own fucking ego. Because nobody could talk shit about me. I mean, they could. But it doesn't bother me. It makes me laugh. Sometimes it's entertaining. But then sometimes it's sad as shit to see grown men talk about other grown men on the internet about how they live their life. When if you're a grown man, go worry about your own fucking life. Like, people will talk shit about my music, but that's okay, right? Because I bet they don't even make music. I bet they don't even know the first thing about making music. So, like, I don't know. I have such a powerful ego, but I also have such a powerful soul. I am a powerful fucking human being. Like, I need y'all to understand this. How I became a powerful human being is not from money. I don't have the fucking money right now. Not from fucking college or whatever the fuck. No, I got knowledge, but I didn't get it from school. I'm a powerful human being because my ego and consciousness work together to build this, to build me, to build my mindset. You know, like, I've beat my anxiety, I beat my depression, I used to self-harm, I beat that, I no longer self-harm myself, I no longer, like, because I have empowered myself. I empowered my own ego, I empowered my consciousness, I empowered myself spiritually with my psychedelic usage, facing myself, facing my demons, not allowing psychedelics to scare me away, because your ego, this is the funny thing about the ego, as you're gaining control of your ego, it'll try to take its control back. So, like, as you're taking psychedelics and you're gaining control of your ego, you're facing your trauma, you're facing some childhood shit, you're facing who you are, or whatever, your ego is not going to like that. So your ego is going to freak the fuck out. And then your ego is going to convince you that you had a horrible ayahuasca experience and you'll never do that again because that was, you know, not what people said. And of course it's not what people said, because what's in your head apparently is different than those people that said it. Because, like, I've tripped thousands of times. And now I understand I ain't never had a bad trip in my life. Never. Like, the one time I thought I had a bad trip was just a extremely heavy dose of DMT. Extremely heavy doses of DMT where, you know, I consider a bad trip. It just scared the fuck out of my ego. And back then, the man that smoked the DMT back then was not the man that's talking to you right now. And the only way I became the man that's talking to you right now is by beating my ego the fuck up and then grabbing his hand and then pulling him up. That's how I have become me, right? And that's why am I able to sit here and I'm learning Blender and how to make animations, right? I just started. I'm on tutorial video number 2. Why is it that I've been sitting here for 15 fucking years learning how to make music? And, like, why is it that I speak about psychedelics so openly? Why? Because I got enough ego to know, like, just to know. And also, this is the thing. When you gain control of your ego, you have to make sure your ego does not get out of hand. And the way you keep your ego in check is by making sure your ego don't say shit unless it has something to back it up, right? So, I am a great musician. I am a great psychedelic musician. I can say this because I've been doing this shit for 15 years. I don't need success or fame or whatever. My skills speak for themselves, right? I don't need to, people are going to talk shit. You know, I used to say I'm a modern day shaman, and eventually I might get back into that because I might start legitimately having ceremonies, giving these things to people and building this thing, right? People are going to say, you know, you're not a shaman or this. It required my ego to say, no, I am a shaman. You don't even know what a shaman is. Shamans don't even know what shamans are. Nobody on this planet knows what's going on. And that's the truth. No one knows what's going on. So, like, I don't know what's going on for you, but I know what's going on for me. And I know my own actual connection with the psychedelics. Like, I know my own trips. I know what they're about. I know why I trip. I don't need to explain it to anybody, right? It's whatever, but I do, but, like, I don't need to because, you know, my ego's like, bro, like, I done had hundreds of psychedelic experiences, and it's not like an ego trip as in, like, you know, I've had hundreds of experience and then because I'm not more experienced than anybody else. I do not think about other people. That is ego in a negative way. That is when your ego is out of control. If your ego is out of control, that means you think you're the shit and you think you're better than everybody else. But my ego is not allowed to think about anybody else. I'm not allowed to think about other people and their success, other people and what they do, other people and how they're going. Like, I'm not allowed to think about, oh, that person made, you know, $1 million off of crypto, and if I would have just invested when he did, I would have had that too. My ego is not allowed to think anything like that. My ego is not allowed to think certain things because my consciousness says you are not allowed. My ego is the monkey body which is an animal, and my consciousness is the owner of that animal. And my consciousness keeps my ego in check, but the ego is still needed at times, because sometimes you gotta put your fucking foot down, right? And this is the thing, as a spiritual teacher, I've been able to gain this thing of like, spirituality is great. What is spirituality though? It's this complicated thing that we thought it was peace. We thought it was Buddhism or Hinduism or shamanism or all this other shit, when really spirituality is just your spirit shining through your human body. When your spirit is shining through your human body, you are on the spiritual path, right? Because that's what this is, right? I was gaining light because my soul is light. So I was gaining more energy, more light, more power, right? Because, you got to keep the power on, and we call energy power, or power is energy. It's all the same thing, right? Light. So as I've gained more light, my light is now so powerful it shines out of my human body, because that's what an aura is. An aura is just your soul shining out of your body a little bit. Because just like a light bulb, the light is inside of the light bulb, but the light breaks out of the light bulb, and that's what our aura does, right? And I've been able to do this with myself on every aspect of myself, right? I don't negative think. I don't put myself down anymore. I practice self-love by doing the things that, that I love, but also never doing something that would disappoint myself, or never doing something that I would not do, right? Because my ego would love to do a bunch of shit that I would not do. But I don't allow my ego to do things that I would not do. And so on the spiritual journey, if you go down the spiritual journey and you lose your ego, you won't be able to, like I've heard people talk about, they stopped making videos because they thought they were on an ego trip. I'm like, what? Bro, this is nothing. That was your ego that convinced you to stop making videos. The ego is not just thinking that you are intelligent and you got something to say. The ego is also the thing that says you're a fucking idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. Your ego is the thing convincing you to do things you don't want to do, or to not do things that you do want to do. Your ego can convince you that, you're weak, or your ego can convince you you're not good enough to do that thing, or your ego can convince you to just play it safe or whatever. But like, this is all about gaining control of ourselves. Being able to look at the ego, look at the consciousness, observe both, because there is a thing observing them. Like, the thing that's observing your thoughts is actually the real you. You are not your thoughts. You are thinking thoughts, but you are thinking thoughts. You are not the thoughts you're thinking. Learn the difference. Learn the difference between your ego, your consciousness, and yourself. Learn the difference between a healthy ego and an unhealthy ego. That obviously an unhealthy ego, we all know, because that's the typical definition of ego. But a healthy ego is the thing that allowed me to make this video. A healthy ego is the thing that keeps my body in shape, and I'm in the best shape of my life. A healthy ego is the thing that kept my mind okay when my ex broke up with me, and how I'm still me. My ego was the thing that prevented me from self-harming again. My ego was the thing that told myself to not think negatively about myself, to stop being depressed, or to stop being anxious, or to figure out what the fuck is making me anxious, what was making me feel that way. I was feeling not like myself because I was doing things that myself wouldn't do. And now that I've observed all this shit, that is how you get a healthy ego. That's how you become mentally healthy. By observing you. Observing everything about you that makes up you. And understanding that you killing the ego is like some trying to get a quick fix of what we actually are. And you're not going to get a quick fix, because this is just what we actually are. Up and down. Light and shadow. Left and right. Yin and yang. And until you understand that, you will always be off balance. So this is about balancing yourself and being yourself. Ego and consciousness, both together.